Quitting is the standard advice for a job you hate, but most people operate under the weight of fixed costs, rent, insurance, and dependents. In these conditions, staying is the primary skill. The damage of a toxic role rarely stays at the office. It travels. It follows you into the commute, the shower, and your weekends. This is the bleed. It is the mental overtime spent replaying conversations and bracing for Mondays, and it represents a massive amount of unpaid emotional labor. This happens because of a specific biological error. When a manager evaluates your performance, your nervous system often fails to distinguish between professional feedback and a survival threat. It hears a critique of your output and registers it as a verdict on your human worth. Even a slow day is biologically expensive. When the brain isn't engaged, it doesn't rest. It wanders. It creates a noisy mental fog of overthinking and irritation to compensate for the lack of stimulus. Leaving an easy day feeling exhausted isn't a personal failure. It is the result of a mind that spent 8 hours starving for focus, while your psychological borders were under constant pressure. Survival cannot depend on motivation. Motivation is loud and unreliable. It rarely survives a Tuesday morning. What actually works is containment. Think of your mind as an architectural space where the job is quarantined. You provide the effort required to fill the container, then you spend your energy sealing it off from the rest of your life. This system of containment is built across 3 distinct layers: your time, your emotions, and your identity. To manage time, you have to stop counting hours. Counting stretches the experience of the day. Instead, you shape the hours using micro-focus. By breaking the shift into tiny, clear task completions, you turn a featureless fog into a structured staircase. The end of the shift requires a hard closure signal. Mentally list what is done and what is pending, then explicitly log out. If you fail to close that loop, you drag tonight into tomorrow. You begin the next morning already tired because your mind never actually left the building. Temporal containment ensures the transaction remains fair. You give the employer the shift they paid for, and you keep the evening for yourself. The second layer is neutrality. A job you don't love does not deserve the performance of your full personality. You are allowed to be quiet and stable. Neutrality prevents you from being pulled into unnecessary drama that drains your nervous system. This shift moves you from reacting to observing. You watch the office patterns: who panics, who avoids responsibility, who speaks the loudest when insecure. You aren't cold, you are curious. This curiosity makes silence a tool for efficiency. Work environments invite opinions on processes that won't change. If a problem won't matter in a week, it doesn't need your voice today. Emotional containment turns a frantic workplace into a detached study of human nature. You do your part cleanly, letting the noise pass around you instead of through you. The final layer protects your core self. A boss manages your output. They do not manage your identity. A workplace sees a narrow, high-pressure slice of you, which means their feedback is a data point, not a verdict on your value. You maintain this distinction by hoarding your best thoughts. The job receives your baseline competence and focus, but your deepest ideas and your creative energy are diverted into a private vault. By protecting your intellectual life, you ensure that the job can influence your routine, but it can never erase your curiosity or your values. Applying these layers changes the definition of your situation. You are in a phase of stabilization. This period acts as a sponsor. It is a predictable transaction that provides the physical space and income required to calculate your next move. Albert Einstein spent years in a patent office. He was often bored by the mundane work, but he remained mentally sharp. He traded the office as a place that funded his thinking time, allowing him to formulate his most significant ideas while his basics were covered. Steve Jobs similarly navigated unglamorous early roles. He treated the work as a means to an end, protecting his focus for his own vision rather than letting the daily grind dictate his potential. The goal is to move through this phase without shrinking. When you step out of this containment box, you aren't starting from nothing. You are starting from a position of strength, with your identity perfectly intact.